500 cash.
And it's rainy and it's very uncomfortable, and outside is not the place to be, he said to himself. You know, we're very fortunate to be on the back side of this storm, onto what they call the clean side of this storm. It's the old cliche is it could be so much worse, and I'm confident it could. It's really hard to imagine that right now. And Greta, I keep going back to this idea of what's happening to the east of us. We're still hours away from the storm hitting. This is the Entergy building over here. Mike, I don't know if you can get a shot of it. Oh man. The lower levels of the place lost its power, and I don't really know how to explain. I don't really know how to explain why the lower levels lost their power, but the upper levels didn't. But I don't know, maybe it's served by different transformers. I just saw another one blow right over there. We've been watching transformers pop all over the city, and it's an ominous thing to see as they explode in the distance and turn bluish green. And anybody who's been through one of these storms or seen a transformer go out knows what I'm talking about. But I'm pretty surprised right now that the whole area isn't dark. I don't know Beaumont as well as I'd like to, but I think that most of the power here is above ground. Mike, can you see that power line over there in the distance? It's underneath, but between the 4-light structure and then the single street light, and you can see that it dangling in this wind. And I can literally not stand up without holding onto this pole when the gusts come. If I didn't hold onto this pole, I would be blown down. I know that. And I wonder how all of these power lines are staying up. They're very fortunate at this point, and I can't imagine that it'll last through the night. It's very difficult to think of 3 or 4 hours of this. But that's what's coming, and I'm sure that it's a scary thing for people who are in their homes, Greta, especially once the power starts to go out, and you begin to wonder, all right, is there a storm surge coming? What do we need to do? And I guess if for people who might be listening to us on XM radio or on Sirius radio, and Greta, I can tell you that the Fox News channel is being simulcast on a number of radio stations down here, because I've been listening to a lot of our coverage on radio. For people who may be listening to that, it's no time to go outside. And if there is a storm surge that comes to you, and if you're along the Louisiana-Texas border, and especially into Louisiana, there will be a storm surge tonight, according to the meteorologist. If it does, from recent experience, I'm told that the best thing to do is go up in the house, because this storm surge here is not expected to be the level of Katrina. But the reason it's going to be as big as it is because this storm was so much bigger. The meteorologists today in our weather center were explaining to me that the winds die down more quickly as a storm diminishes its strength than the storm surge dies down, because you figure once you're pushing an enormous wall of water, that just because the winds slow down doesn't mean that wall of water will go down at all. I'm hearing what sounds like sirens in the distance, which surprises me, because the wind is so intense and the rain is so loud on the side of your face that I haven't really heard anything but that for a long time. So it'll be interesting to find out what those sirens are all about, Greta. What's that? We apparently have lost Greta's audio for the moment, so I can tell you that Houston is in much better shape. You know, when this storm first started coming to us, and we were planning our coverage, city managers in Houston and TxDOT, the Texas Department of Transportation, and all of those who run emergency in the state of Texas were preparing for this storm, but much bigger, to be coming right into Galveston, right up Galveston Bay, and then slamming into the city of Houston. As a result, they started a massive evacuation program, one which succeeded and by succeeded I mean got more people out than they admit now they ever would have dreamed possible. And as a result, they saw traffic jams like, as it was described to me, traffic jams like the United States of America has never known. Imagine averaging 8 to 9 miles an hour for 24 hours on the way to Dallas, Texas. That is an absolute confirmed reality for many thousands and thousands of of Houstonians and beyond. And along that trek, so many people ran out of gas and were stuck with their children and their wives or whatever alongside the road. Not enough food to eat, not enough water to drink. We've heard many stories of people with their say, oh, our pets are dehydrating. After all, it's 101 degrees during this. People stopped using their air conditioning in an effort to conserve gasoline. They were running out on the side of the road. It was a very frustrating thing. So they now know that they have more work to do on an evacuation plan. And at the same time, they're so pleased that it happened in such a timely fashion. The next challenge for Houston, I think, where Greta is going to be how to get all these people back in there. I was listening to the mayor of Houston on the radio just a moment ago, talking about that very thing with some locals, saying, how are we going to do this? There's not gas all over the city. It's going to be difficult to get back in from so many different places without having the same sort of traffic jams on the way back. So along these series of disasters that have hit us, from Hurricane Katrina and now Hurricane Rita, we're learning a lot of valuable lessons, and the emergency managers are saying we will take away lessons of things we did well that worked well, and lessons of things that we can improve on, and all along the way it helps the nation as a whole to prepare for the eventuality as the White House and the administration put it, the eventuality of a terror attack, another terror attack on this nation. So I guess we're learning lessons along the way, and the fear is that people are losing their lives tonight as well. I mean, oh my goodness, that is the worst. This is the worst of it yet. Look at those trees over there. I wonder how long it's going to be. New York is explaining to me that Adam Housley, I believe, is up for us. Adam Housley, who I believe is down the coast of Texas. Adam, where are you? What you got?
Shepard, we're in Winnie, Texas. We're about 20 miles or so away from you, a little bit closer to the coast, but also a little bit further to the west as well. I'm joined actually right now by Tony Rosetto, the deputy sheriff here. We actually have found a place to stay here alongside the freeway Interstate 10, where a few other people have hunkered down for the evening. This area, Winnie, Texas, getting hit pretty good right now. The winds died down, and you can call it that, just a tad in the last 5 minutes, but we're still getting hammered with rain. You just came back in. What did you see when you were out there?
Well, we saw a number of power lines down. We have down on 1406 probably 3 power lines down. Neighborhoods have power lines down and several trees. One of the other deputies, we were talking on the radio, saw a carport blowing off of a house back on 1406, but there hasn't been any structural damage from what we can tell at this time.
We're going to get it pretty good here. I know the worry isn't so much of the storm surge, although that is a possibility in the southern parts of Chambers County, but there's also the worry about we have the power lines that have been going down. As you mentioned, we've got trees go down, and we have people that didn't decide to stay here. What's the plan of attack for you guys out here in the country?
Well, we made one last round for the night. We're going to probably sit it out here, try to let the worst of it go by, and in the morning assess the situation, try to formulate a plan to go out for a search and rescue. We've got approximately 30 to 35 residents still in town, and we're just trying to keep the residents off the streets.
All right, Tony Rosetto, he's a deputy with the Chambers County Sheriff Department. They're one of, there's 4 you guys, 3 you guys and a constable that are here that have allowed us to come into the sheriff's station. That's what's happened also, Shepard, as you know, as we drove up through Texas and other people did as well. When it got to the point where they needed to get off the roadway, many of the sheriff's departments, the fire stations, and other places became impromptu shelters for people who could not make it out for whatever reason. That is a situation all around the Gulf State, especially as you get closer to where the hurricane has come ashore. I can tell you here that we're getting heavy rain, and of course we're going to keep you updated throughout this storm. Shepard?
All right, actually it's back to me. We've got our technical problems worked out on our end, and Alicia Cunha is in Nassau Bay. Alicia, what's going on in Nassau Bay?
Hi, Greta. Things have picked up considerably over here. We're just standing a little farther away from the water than we were earlier. Someone warned me I might get picked up off my feet and tossed in there, and that does not sound like a good way to end our night. I'm going to push off here, and you can take a look at Clear Lake, where we're standing here. The water really getting pushed up against that dock. This is a marina, and we're watching those boats over there just get tossed around quite a bit. And beyond that, there are some expensive homes. We haven't seen that much damage, but I can tell you we have seen transformers blowing up throughout the area. Just Shepard's been talking about that as well. And we're tracking the wind here. This is our photographer, Scott Gill. We've got our whole team out here. So What's the worst it's been so far,
Well,
Scott?
we've hit about 38, 40 miles an hour right here. Right now we're averaging right around 20 miles an hour or so. Right now we're in a lull. You can see we're about 15 miles an hour. We are just a little bit sheltered by this hotel where we're at right now, though. So.
Okay, great, and we'll give you a look at this hotel. We're standing this close, just kind of being blocked here. We're all just sort of bracing ourselves for the fact that we could lose power here. They do have a backup generator just to take care of some of the general things here. They won't be able to keep us up for everything, but while we have power, we'll definitely take it. This area, Nassau Bay, is empty for the most part. Of course, there are probably some people who decided to stick it out, but of course, everyone was bracing for a Category 5 headed directly this way. Everyone, just like much of the Gulf Coast, was able to get out of here. Highly organized, Greta, and you've seen it, and I've seen it too from spending time in Houston just with the Katrina victims as well. We've definitely seen it here. Here in our hotel, there have been some of the emergency response team members staying here, some waiting out the storm, some waiting to be able to go back in to this.